welcome to another edition of Vintage Racers Roundtable. My name is Ken Minot, the president of the Maine Vintage Race Car Association, joined once again by my partner in crime here, Mr. Pete Silva. And we're here to bring you episode number 9 of the Vintage Roundtable. And once again, today we're gathering some great guests, some Hall of Fame drivers and car owners and people involved in racing once again. Going to take a look back in the rearview mirror of their remarkable careers and trade some stories and find out what it was all about back in the day. But I do want to take a second to thank our sponsors, Elevation Station and Oxford Auto Salvage, and of course the folks here at Lincoln County TV for being such gracious hosts as always. Our guests today, as I mentioned, are 3 more legends in the Maine motorsport scene who've had a significant impact on Maine racing history, both on and off the track. So today we have multi-time championship car owner, member of the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame class of 2015, Mr. Sandy McKinnon. We have Hall of Fame championship driver, Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame class of 2006, and New England Hall of Fame class of 2002, Mr. Dick McCabe. And alongside a man who was right there with Dick for many of the years of his success, Mr. Dave Staples. Welcome. Hi. Pete, what do you think about this group we pulled together?
Well, I like it.
Get this ball rolling.
We got 3 different aspects of the sport. We got a championship driver, championship car owner, and a guy that was as dedicated as anybody as far as supporting and spending time with Dick. And Dave knows everybody's history here, so we should be all set if we get off course.
Yeah, and that's never happened before, has it?
No. These guys will probably keep us there, I'm sure.
Well, I'd like to start off the show as we always do, and just go around the table for a brief minute and find out how you guys got involved in racing in the first place. Whose fault was it, or what got you involved? So, Sandy, we'll start with you. How did you get involved in racing to begin with?
Well, I was down in Rhode Island and Seekonk Speedway, and I was running a gas station down there in Barrington, Rhode Island, and my cousin came to work for me, and we got a car and we built a race car.
Was there any family involvement in racing before that?
No, I started racing when somebody you know never heard of probably, Roland Shuffleberg. He used to drive race cars at Beach Ridge. And he built a car at Freeman Davison's Sunoco station, and he had a lumber truck. Freddie Merrill had a lumber truck, and they took me to the races. They asked my mother, I was only about 12, 13, and I'd stand, they'd park the lumber truck right on the edge of the track, and I stood there and they raced around. And that's
where it all started.
That's when the bug bit me.
How about you, Dick? What got a steering wheel in your hand back in the day?
Well, I guess it's my mother's fault. She didn't want me to go hunting with my father and them. She didn't like the gun thing. So
Found something much safer, huh?
Yeah, so I got tinkering on cars, and then I went. A neighbor next door had 3 boys, and the mother had died, and I guess my mother was gone at that time too. He was going to the races, so he offered to take me. Once he took me to the races, I says, "Oh, I like this."
Yeah, it was all over, wasn't
It was all over then.
Yeah.
I started building the car when I was 13.
Again, no prior family connection to racing at all?
No.
Yeah.
None that was mentioned. I think my father might have had a little something to do with it, but he didn't want me to have anything to do with it.
And Dave, did you ever drive or anything, or what got you involved?
Not really, no. I was from Agunquit. Folks lived in Agunquit. A fellow from Agunquit raced Beach Ridge. I started going to Beach Ridge in '62. A fellow's named George Welch. Won a lot of races back in the 50s, early 60s. And that's what got me going there. And then a stint in the Army, and then I started going to Beach Ridge after I got out and ran into this fella, and the rest is history.
Yeah, well, let's get into that history. Pete, I know you've got quite a timeline sitting here in front of you, so as always, we'll unhook your chain and let you go. Here we go.
Well, we're going to pay our respects to the senior man of the group, and we'll start with him. Sandy, I never realized you drove. Tell us about that a little bit. How long did that last?
Not long. Not
That's how it is with most car
Yeah,
owners.
we've had a lot of that at the table. Tell us.
Well, when we started down in Seekonk, I'd race this week, my cousin raced next week. Then the third week, I'd race, and I finished. And the next week, my cousin crashed, and I got upset, and so we didn't, no more race car.
Did
And
you,
go ahead.
did you have any success driving? I mean,
Yeah,
did
I
you like
finished.
it?
I finished.
You finished. Yeah,
I
that's
finished
pretty. Well, that's a good starting
On
point.
4 wheels.
Yeah.
What were you driving for a car when you first?
It was an old Chevy, 6-cylinder. Seekonk is a cement palace, as you
Right.
know,
Oh, yeah.
and you know, you step it to the floor, and all of a sudden you're in the turn. I mean, you're in the turn all the time.
Right.
Have you been there, Pete?
Oh yeah, I went one bush race. I sat on the pole and led 40 laps and had a flat.
That didn't help, did it?
No, and I think Ralph won. I was good at helping Ralph. I think we all were. So did you just stop driving, or how did that
Yes,
go?
and a friend of mine was building a car, and he asked me to help him.
So that was your foray into being a car owner, partial car owner?
No, I was, the car that my cousin crashed, that was half mine and half his.
Yeah.
And when I went to work for this guy, helping him, it was all his, and it was a Ford and modified. And I worked with a guy. We had he had 2 or 3 drivers, and they were also Rands.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard the name Dave Humphrey.
Yeah. I see it's on here. You traveled with him.
Yes, I did, and he.
Yeah, he was
Super
dominant
guy.
for a long time
Huh.
there. Yeah.
And
What's
the
that,
mi-
the midgets and sprint?
Midgets, well, he could drive anything.
So did you travel all around?
I did. I went with him for a year and a half,
Yeah.
and then we worked at Ryco Machine in East Providence. And he comes to me and he says, I'm going to drive not a midget, but a
Sprint car?
sprint car
Yeah.
down in Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that was a ride.
Yeah.
He drove down there and he says, I've got to go because we were late getting there. He says, I've got to go. I says, all right. I saw where he parked the car and I says, I'll be in it when it's time to go home. I said, but I've got to go to the John, and it was a tunnel. I'm being polite. And I went through a tunnel, and I happened to look up, and I saw this car going over and over that way. It didn't mean I didn't know who it was.
Was it Humphrey?
It was Humphrey. So I come back and went over there and loaded him in the ambulance. And he's throwing me the keys. I said, well, what the hell am I going to do?
How were you young?
Yeah, I was
Teenager or something?
18, 19.
So you became the at that moment. You're driving everything home, right?
Well, yeah. But if you knew Dave Humphrey, he had a broken arm and a broken leg. And he drove home.
Jesus.
He drove home.
Just strapped him up there a little bit, huh?
And we didn't go for a while, and then then he was doing a lot of midgets.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever heard the name Joe Chicky.
Mm-hmm.
He was one heck of a driver. Yeah. And we were at Westboro Speedway in Mass, and Joe got killed.
Yeah. Jesus.
Everything stopped. All the cars were pushed, show was over, and we went home. I said, Dave, I don't think I want to go. He says, I don't think I will either for a while. Because
Good reason.
It was.
Okay, we'll get back to some of your car ownership. Dick, I can't wait to ask you this question because I can relate to it a little bit. I didn't realize you started at 14 until last week when we were at Summerfest, and you and another one of your supporters, Don Chrisman,
Don
Donald Chrisman, were talking about you starting at 14. Did you build a car, buy a car?
Built it.
Okay.
37 Chevy Coupe.
So how does this work with the parents?
Long as I was home under the roof, that was a good thing.
No kidding.
You know.
Who financed it? Were you
I've tried to pay for it while I could. It was cheap back then. You know, you went to the junkyard.
Yeah, you could make a lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, I went through I was like 16 and built a 55 Chevy. And my parents, I couldn't get my, George wasn't exactly a choir boy, so when it came time for, you had to get your parents' permission to drive before 18.
That's another story.
Yeah, I wasn't getting that, but
I had a woman down the street sign my release papers.
Perfect. So who'd you get to drive it? I mean,
Lee Clough drove it. A good friend of mine. He had a race car, and I used to go to the races with him. Time I was 12 years old, I was going to the races.
So he already had experience.
Yeah, and I went with Dick McGarry.
Oh yeah.
I used to go after church on Sunday. I'd get in with him and go to Oxford Sunday afternoon. I'd go to Beach Ridge with him Saturday nights. Then Lee raced. And helped him. Went to the races, and then I started building my own car.
So, did you already have mechanical experience?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So your family already have the bait business, and you were working around that, or?
Yeah, my dad had the bait business. I had one little stall there in the garage, and a boy named Dickie Seavey helped me, who was a welder up in the Navy Yard, great guy. He taught me how to weld. He had a portable machine. We parked it outside the garage, and we commenced
14 years old.
Yeah, we started on it.
That's great.
We won a race with that car when I was 15 or 16.
That was going to be my next deal. So was that a 6-cylinder car?
6-cylinder Chev. Bucky Benson won the race. Lee wrecked it the night before at Beach Ridge on a Saturday night, bad. Both ends. So I put it in the garage right crossways, took both bays up. Another boy and I used to chum around with in high school. I got him to stay there and help me. We worked all night, put a front end in it and a rear end in it. And I went up to Rundle that afternoon for the races, and I was practicing the car, and I come in, and Lee was there, but he couldn't drive. His neck was pretty messed up. I says, geez, Lee, she ain't got any power. I can hold the floor all the way around. He says, you're going to wear that, and I practiced too long. He says, you're going to wear that thing out. Get in here. He said, let me try that. He went out about 2 laps. He says, put somebody in that car, he says, she'll be in the top 3. I put Bucky Benson, he was available then. He was a good racer, and he went out and won the feature with my car.
At a Rundle or Beach Ridge?
Rundle,
Yeah.
right then, yeah.
Were you self-taught as far as building that first car? Did you pick people's brains or look at other cars? Or just...
I looked at every car there ever was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you determine the suspension? I know it was a lot simpler then, but you still had to do something.
If you were going to race Beach Ridge, you had to have a Ford front end.
Yeah.
The wishbone front end.
That split axle, yeah.
And they let you do that even with a Chevy. So once you got that in there, and get the rest of it lined up, get your wheel weights right, and try to find some half decent tires.
So to get your wheel weights right, you have a jack and bolt going down through the cross member onto the spring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a long shackle on the left rear to hold that up.
Put some bite in it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we was just one of them things.
I love it. I mean,
Took to it right away, yeah.
Like I said, I was a little older, but not much, and I went through. I had Albert Robinson drove for me. My father drove for me. I would never suggest that if you're a teenager and have a race car, let your father drive it. But it was interesting when I heard that story. I mean, people don't realize it. Sometimes you start really young. And how old were you before you drove?
I drove Friday nights up to Dover. I think I was like 16. I had a driver's license. That was about it.
Is that all you needed?
Yeah, if you had $1.25 to get in, they didn't care what you did.
Nice. Did you do well back then? I mean,
yeah, I did pretty good. Of course, I was scared to death the first race. I started second inside, and I run second for quite a while. The guy got back by me. I finished third. Lee was giving me hell. He says, couldn't you hold that guy back? I said, geez, I thought I'd done well to finish.
I heard a lot of drivers say that their first time out that it was the fear that kept them up front more than anything.
Jesus Christ. I was in a 57 Chevy and I come in and they said, boy, the motor's skipping. I said, it's not skipping, that's my foot shaking. So, I didn't realize you had so much automotive history.
I started at Hutchins Chevrolet
yeah.
when I was 14 years old.
As a mechanic at 14.
14, do anything.
No child labor laws back then,
No.
evidently.
I worked 2 hours after school every day and 4 hours Saturday morning. Got 50 cents an hour. Did anything the old man wanted me to that owned the
Yeah.
place. And
Did you know anything about mechanics before you got there?
So
they
not
just
really. I
came in and told you to go to it?
just told me do this, do that, whatever they wanted. You know, work the grease rack or exhaust, whatever. And then the Army came along after I got out of high school.
I see that. I can't believe how many different states you were in. You said New Jersey, Georgia,
Yeah, oh yeah.
then Korea, then
yeah.
California? Or?
Yeah, I asked for anything on the East Coast when I came back from Korea. Fort Ord, California.
That's pretty close. That's
That's
pretty close.
Army,
That's
yeah.
pretty close.
Oh, yeah. So,
And then you went back to Hutchins
yeah,
Chevrolet.
went back to Hutchins until 71. And then joined the state police.
So you've met Dick in the middle here somewhere before
Yeah.
when you get out of the service, I guess?
No,
Before the service?
it was December of '63, and I was just about ready to go in the Army, and I had a '58 Chev, and I'd stopped at a restaurant in Kennebunk, got a cup of coffee, something to eat, came out, and it wouldn't crank. Had a 348 in it,
Yeah.
cold, but it just would. So I went back in, warmed up a little bit, got back out, and here comes this, either a 49 Chev or a 51 Chevy, doing donuts across parking lots all ice.
Practicing. We're practicing.
Yeah, but didn't have a trunk lid on it. Had a box in the back.
Dog box.
Were you hauling bait then?
No, my father's
So
his hunting car. The coon car, he called it.
we pushed the car out in the lot, and he had somebody with him. It might have been Lee.
It was Lee.
Yeah, and because he's sitting on ice. I hear him spinning, and I'm not trying to do anything. All of a sudden, the lights go back, boom, and we're mobile.
I got him out on the one.
Chevy bumpers are top.
So that was a straight drive car. You were just jump starting.
Yeah, jump start. Off I went, and then I was in the Army.
So, no more conversation
No,
after
nothing.
that?
Didn't know
shit?
who he- I didn't know who
You're
that-
kidding me.
I
He
had
didn't
no-
know who it was.
I didn't know who he was. So I started going to Beach Ridge after the Army in '67, going in the pits, and kind of got to know him and his crew, and found out where he was working on the car. One night I went over there, and there sits the old Chevy with the dog box in the back. I said, "This was the guy."
That's that guy. Yeah.
That's how you recognize who it was.
Yeah,
And
Wow.
you've been friends ever since.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was back in, found out who he was in '67.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. I think it's pretty cool, really.
Well, he got me going. I was happy about that.
Well, you've been racing ever since. 'Cause you're
Yeah.
still doing it, really.
Yeah, I was lucky. I saw him win his first race.
Yeah.
I saw him win his first NASCAR race at T Road, and I see him win his last one.
Yeah.
And a hell of a lot in between.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have a ton of history. I know every time I talk with you, if it's anything on that end of the state or NASCAR North, you've got the date.
I got some from Unity, obviously. I was up there 3 years.
And you basically, you're a lap counter. 40 years later, you still can tell what lap something happened on. Sandy, so we're moving along here. How do you end up at Beach Ridge from Humphrey? You're in Rhode Island at the time you're messing with Humphrey?
Yes, I lived in Rhode Island. Then when I came back home,
So you end up moving to Maine in there somewhere?
yes, I came back up here and got married. And he mentioned, Dick mentioned Lee Klopp.
Yeah.
Well, I had bought a boat and I was thinking about going lobstering. And Dickie Clough and Lee were trying to get me to help them with the race car. And I says, I can't. I mean, I got a family and, I got to work. So I went about my business, and about a week later, I look across the street, and guess who was living there? Lee moved across the street.
It's one way to get you to help him, I guess.
Yeah, and there was a half of a race car sitting in the front yard with a canvas over the thing. So I'd be out in the shed, and Lee'd come over. He didn't drink very often, just most of the time. So, and can you come over? And then Dick come over and he said, Sandy, how's things going? I says, well, you know, I'm building traps, but they're not doing anything for me. I got to get a job. He says, I'll give you a job. I says, what doing? He said, painting. Oh, Jesus, I hated painting. But it was, he said, you help us on the race car, and I'll give you a job painting. He worked in the Navy Yard.
Yeah.
Of course, so I went painting. Of course, Lee was painting. And that was a history, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I can't go into it the way I should.
Well, don't worry about it. So how long before you're, it says here, it doesn't say a start day, but it's got 81 down. You're at Beach Ridge as an owner and a crew chief. You win this, up probably from the 70s through 81. You end up being late model, 75 late model sportsman championship, 79 and 81 modified champion. Who's driving for you then? Jim McClure? Or
Yes.
Ray Leach is down here. Did he
Ray
drive?
won some races for me,
Okay.
and then he got in a crash, and he broke his thumb. He put his thumb back up here somewhere, and he broke his finger. And Doc Christopher said it was going to be a month before he could get in a race car.
So you put McClure in it.
No,
You?
I went in? Oh, Lee. Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that was 76.
Gotcha.
So he had gone up north, and he was testing the waters up there. He had a car, but he was still Beach Ridge because he was still hauling bait.
Yep.
And so I called him, and he said, yeah. I says, Ray can't drive, and I don't know I don't know. Fix the car.
Did you guys do all right?
Well, first night we get in, and he comes in, and he says, pull 2 spark plug wire. All I'm gonna do is spinning going down the straightaway. I didn't have a quick change. I had way too much motor. But I says, all right, I'll pull 2. Oh no, he says, no, I'll just have to learn to lift. And he got through the night. We didn't do a lot. The next time we get in the car, we made some changes, and he did pretty good.
Good.
And then the next time we get in the car, they had that 100 lapper. Jim McClure won it. Bob Babb was going to be second, and he was third. But I don't know.
Bob was third. He lost his power steering.
Yeah.
And had to drive it one arm. But Dick was second with the M3. Bob's car won it with McClure.
Yeah.
And then, so Bob had a first and a third.
Bob Babb had 2 cars.
Yeah.
McClure drove one. I was in the middle of them.
Oh, Bob, he was tough for a long time,
He
wasn't he?
was.
Yeah.
Good guy. Good guy.
So, back to his point about you testing the waters. I mean, when I first, back then in the 70s, you guys raced Sunday afternoons a lot.
Yeah.
And we would race Unity Saturday night. I mean, we couldn't wait to get to Beach Ridge on Sunday, you know.
Yeah.
Homer was still driving the Flintstone buggy, and the Camaro was there. And I always remember you then. I don't know if you were driving your Zero car then. Probably the early,
Yeah,
wasn't
the
quite
coupe.
the mid-70s, probably 73 or something, 4 maybe?
70,
75.
75, that's when I got the Chevelle one.
Yep, the green
Yeah, you
Chevelle.
were in the, you were, that wasn't there then, you were in the coupe when I saw
Yeah.
you, that damn big 6-cylinder that hurt your ears when I went down the straightaway.
Yeah.
Was that one of those Jimmy 302s or?
No, it wasn't. I
What do
couldn't
you smile at?
afford.
Did you get accused of that a lot or something?
No, I couldn't afford a legal motor. They take it.
I got him to come down one night, drive the car. And he said, okay. So he gets down there, and there was this hot rod guy that, he was a great racer. And he thought Dick was a great racer. His name was Mo Tweedy.
Yep.
Tweedledum.
He messed around up at Unity for a while, then he went somewhere else.
Well, he came to Beechridge this
heard that.
particular
Yeah, I
night.
remember. I
Yeah.
seen, yeah.
And he started behind Dick, but next thing you know, he was on top of Dick, or was underneath him or something, and they only went about 2 laps and ripped the tire off. Dick comes in and he says, I don't know, this guy's mad. I said, well, that's Mo.
That just was his disposition.
So we put a new tire on and everything, goes out. Bingo! He's Mo. When they throw the flag, he's going to the front, over, around, or under. He's going to the front. Well, he puts him over, out of the way.
Put you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it ain't over.
Then I just, then I said, all right, here we go. The guys are looking at me. I said, just sit down because you watch this. Well, you know, Beechridge had telephone poles, light poles that lit up the track,
oh
and they
yeah.
had banks up them. There's 24 feet of sand around them. Well, he put Mo Tweedy so the bumper was touching the pole on top of that. That's where he put him.
Did that help Mo get over that feeling?
All I can tell you is, well, I forget who the hell it was that came over, but somebody said, Sandy, you and Dick are done for the night. And I had my modified there, and he was going to drive that in the feature.
They threw you both up for the night?
Yeah, out, and he couldn't drive the modified either. No matter how hard I begged, he couldn't. So we were done for the night.
Christ, I didn't realize you were such a troublemaker. I was
Well,
thought you were pretty easy
he-
going. I mean, I got a couple other stories I want to ask you about, but
Didn't you remember they said half French and half Irish?
Yeah.
Well, that all showed that night.
that's a good point. So when do you get? I mean, you had the 6-cylinder car, then you got the Chevelle.
Yeah.
Are people putting you in their modifieds and supers?
Oh, I would kind of. Someone asked me to drive it. I usually drove it. I
Okay.
drove probably a few I shouldn't have, but
Well, you had a pretty good streak going there. You must have won almost 20 races in those deals, didn't you?
I don't
One
know.
year, talking to Dave this morning, there, 76, you won 9 times in the Super.
not the 70. Oh,
It's
In
the year 77.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's a pretty good year in that division.
yeah. I think I won 5 races. We started 8 races, won 5 with one car. I don't know. If
Yeah, I got that down here. Another
Snap
car.
six?
Then you
Snap
won
six.
3. Then you won 3 in another car.
won
Was
the
that the Snap 6?
Snap 6 probably. I won 3. I won 8 and 5 in Junior's car. We only raced it 8 times.
Yeah, it's got you down here just for a few starts there.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good average.
I mean, you got tremendous winning percentage all the way down through here,
Yeah.
really. So, when do you get the growing pains? I mean, by now Gardner's probably dabbling in the NASCAR North deal, and you guys are friends.
You mentioned it, Gardner.
Well,
He-
Levitt, Steve said that to me. We were talking about you a long time ago and going.
Gardner taught me to go.
And he said, I believe my father told him that's where he belonged and convinced him to go try it. So
Yeah,
that's
he
accurate.
did.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of Gardner in June.
He did a lot. You know, if it wasn't for him, I'd still be lost in Canada trying to find my way home. You know. But no, he was like a mentor for everybody.
He was.
I think he was a hell of a guy, and he helped a lot of young people move forward. You know.
Yeah.
So what are you driving then?
I bought a car off Bobby Turner. It was some Giroux's car. That
Bob Giroux's out of Thunder Road.
Yeah.
Howard Bank car. Was
Yeah.
was a Chevelle, kind of a NASCAR type Chevelle.
Like an Allison type deal again.
Well, it had a roll cage. It was a pretty heavy car. That car taught me how to drive. It wasn't happy at all.
Kept you busy.
Well, finally we figured it out. The right rear wheel was back 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
As you know, that makes quite a difference.
Yeah, and it's amazing how stupid we were between welding on our ends and wheel getting hit, not realizing that stuff was
Yeah.
bending. If you didn't see a bent part, you
Well,
didn't
I
replace
bought it that way, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got, that car we call it the Sidewinder.
Sideways all the time.
Yeah, pretty much so, but made a better racer of me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She'd take a right rear tire every night.
How long did you race it before you figured that out?
Oh, I don't know, about the time I sold it, I guess. Then we got Jeffrey's old car that Raymond built to go to Martinsville, and it was built like for Daytona.
Heavy again?
It was too heavy for short track racing, but
When you
know,
say Jeffries, Jeff Stevens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he built a car. They spent a lot of money to build a big car to go to Daytona
Yeah.
and that stuff. And we took that car and we struggled with that car. It had a stock car products front end, and there was no books or nothing back then.
No, that's right.
And if anybody knew anything, they didn't tell you.
Boy, I know that.
Yeah. So you just kept pecking away till you finally hit on something. But then when I decided after I went to Martinsville and I watched L.D. Ottinger run down there in a Laughlin car, that's what I want.
Well, that was going to be further down the road, but seeing you brought it up, you must have had the first Laughlin car in Maine.
Well, Beaver,
But Beaver's not from Maine.
No.
He raced in Maine.
yeah,
And
yeah, I did, I guess.
you guys bought those cars about the same time, I think.
His was,
Probably first.
yeah. I went down there to Laughlin's. I said, "Where's mine?" He said, "Right there." And he pointed to the rack,
Yeah.
20-foot tubing.
Same thing when I went down to Banjos. They pointed towards the one that was Jack's, but they told us it was ours to keep us happy. Jack Ingram's, right?
Jeffrey had, he come in and he said, something's wrong with this car.
Oh, jeez.
We changed, so Dick and I changed the gears. Jeffrey goes out, the motor was winding up. He says, you got the gears in upside down. Well, we didn't have it upside
Wrong
down.
ring and pinion.
But him and I went underneath that car and they were in right. And of course, Jeffrey threw another temper tantrum and they loaded it and went home.
Wrong gear for the wrong ring and pinion or something?
Well, he had a 396 motor in a car down in Martinsville, heavy on the nose, and it was a
Yeah.
Daytona type
Yeah,
car, and it was on a half-mile track. So.
yeah. Jesus. Guess we got a lot to do here, not much time.
Exactly.
David, you get left in the dust here a little bit, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
So when do you start going over there full time?
79?
77, we didn't run all the races, but we run a lot of them.
Okay. And that's with your new Laughlin car?
No.
No, you haven't got the
The
Laughlin?
Laughlin car? Okay, yeah.
All
We
right.
had, in 76, you took the white Chevelle.
Yeah.
In 77, we had the Laughlin car.
Yeah.
Wrecked it once, and we didn't make all the races.
Well, when did you get to the point where you started winning a race or two?
I finished second in the points, I think, and
At Catamount in 77. Second.
yeah, but I won the championship 81, 82.
Well, I got that here. You got him down for 172 features, 21 wins, 93 top fives, and 138 top tens. Pretty solid.
He won his first
That's a
NASCAR.
keeper.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
He won his first NASCAR feature in August of 77. That was the Governor's Cup at
That's a good one to start with.
Yep.
Was that about 300 laps? Was that a 300 lap with him?
150.
That's Thunder Road.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, the Governor's Cup?
I thought
100
that was
laps.
I thought the Governor's Cup was at Catamount.
Oh,
It is.
In 77, it was at T Road.
Okay, did it not become a 300 lap or something at one
Yes, it
point?
did, because I won
Yeah.
it 300 laps.
Well, that's
Yeah, that was a CRC race.
Okay.
And then in the Milk Bowl in 77, Butch Lindley flew up and won in the car. Won the Milk Bowl.
okay. I remember that. And I wanted to ask you something about that because I know when I ran that banjo car up here. I mean, we went to the Spring Green. Mike Berry won it, but we were good enough to win it and got tangled up with the lap car and crushed the exhaust and ran a few more races. And the car went good, but I know after I went to Banjos and got it repaired and stayed, the next week I went to Hickory. It was too late to come home and ran really good. But the attitude of the car from up here to there, how they set the ride heights. The rake was different, the tilt was different. The second week, Banjo told me what to put under it for springs. And the front springs changed about 200 pounds and the rear springs changed 100. And the reason I'm saying that story, you were already going good. Did it change for you after you got hooked up with Butch a little bit, information, more raw information from the factory itself?
That's why I put Butch in the car. He wanted.
Yeah.
Mike Laughlin asked me to do it,
Yeah.
and I thought about it. And it's the best thing I ever did because I don't think we changed springs,
No,
but he just told me some things.
About what to do to the car or the driver?
Yeah, like they said, you want the throttle. We made the throttle different, so when the 4-barrel come in, it didn't
Slowed it down, didn't abrupt it so bad.
easy.
Well,
Just
yeah.
the shape of a banana when that rolled up over there.
Yeah.
Instead of that, like a 2-stroke bike.
Just wide open.
It goes from nothing
Yeah.
to everything.
Yeah.
Smooth that out. Want a throttle about instead of having it that long, you want it
Yeah.
that long off the floor. And he helped me with tires a little bit. And
Basically, I'm surprised the springs didn't change, but maybe you were already there. I wasn't. You already had a relationship with those people down around there, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I was trying to build one, but
Yeah.
I just know when I had that connection, things got better
yeah,
for me, and so I've got to ask that. So now we're going to go off the Busch Grand National North Series,
yeah,
where you win in 145 features, 20 wins, 89 top fives, and 117 top tens. That's pretty damn solid. But in the middle here, it shows you running act races. It says 86 to 93, you ran some act races. Is that not accurate?
no,
When did you drive for him in the act deal? Did you drive for him a little?
86.
Did you not win a race for him in an act series car? Or was that a Busch North car?
Bush North.
Bush North.
Okay, so this,
I never drove the X series.
okay. I don't remember it. That's why I was surprised when I read
Yeah.
this. Okay.
You either had to do one or the other.
Yeah, well, yeah. So listen, I don't want to put you on the spot or upset anybody here, but how was the pay driving for Sandy anyways?
All right, I can't even remember what kind of a deal we had.
that's
So it must have been
that's
all
a good
right.
answer. That's a good.
I'll tell you what kind of a deal we had. I will. I'm going to be honest. He wouldn't take any money.
I believe that. Listen, back then, I don't know if we paid.
Well, I knew what it cost to run a car.
Yeah. Listen, I was just being a wise guy, you know.
When
that.
he came over to the shop and he says, "We can do this." He says, "But we're going to change the car." I said, "Help yourself." When he came, he brought his nephew with him. Good guy, smart man, and things went good. And I said, "What the hell are you doing?" They were cutting my car up. Well, he has to have his rear end dragging on the hot top.
Oh, the seat. Yeah.
He's
Was
got
that a 3-link car?
No, I needed the seat low in the car.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there, but was it a 3-link car or trailing arm car? Was that a Latat car back then?
I can't remember.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
probably 3-link, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So it was easy to get the seat down. I mean,
Yeah.
easier.
A lot easier, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when I'm saying getting it down, that's about off
Well,
the
he
hot
learned, he
top.
learned that from Jeff.
Yeah.
He didn't have to learn nothing from
So,
I think we're talking about another gap.
yeah. This is pretty impressive, and I know you did some of it. In 1977 through 85, the Oxford Open Comp Series, you won that championship, 82, 83, 84, and 85. That's pretty damn
4
impressive.
times, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's kind of something they never said nothing about, but I had the most points.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember
Yeah.
Glines and Rowe were after it one year. That must have been before you went on your roll.
Yeah.
Rowe was second, I
Yeah.
think, in 85. It was
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, I think Glines won it. Oh, no, you won it.
Lions won it in
No.
80 or 81.
Yeah, so that was the year Rowe was. So you got 2 Xfinity races here. Were those combination races? Like at Oxford or something?
Yeah.
Or New Hampshire
Yes.
maybe? New Hampshire maybe?
New Hampshire and the
250. Yeah.
Yeah.
One, yeah.
So speaking of the 250,
I know where this is going.
are you guys exchanging Christmas cards?
No,
I bought him a box of cigars and a fifth of the Black Velvet.
For the people listening, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously you just didn't
Fill
go
in
do
some
that. So,
blanks.
so what brought it on? I mean, during the race, obviously you didn't.
You know,
Between Dick and
Dick and Jeff Bodine.
Mr. Bodine,
Yeah.
he shouldn't have did what he did, but I didn't help the cause. I was leading the race, and I wasn't using all the car.
Yeah.
we actually, leading up to the 250, we put out a poll asking people, what is your most memorable Oxford 250? And that incident came up
I
probably as
could
much as
lead that
anything.
race, not using it all. Of course, then when he'd come up, pull up beside me, I'd have to
Sure.
gas her up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was getting pretty annoyed with that, so he took a shortcut down across the infield, went out over the curb and come right out into my door. I had a few he'd hit me in the back before, and I'd give him some brake jobs and all that small stuff, but then he really took me out, kind of thing.
But isn't it obvious that you can pull away?
Yeah,
I mean, I look at things. If you're going to move people, you better be sure you can get away
you
from them.
better do a good job, boy.
Oh, you better be able to get away from them.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't work that way.
No, I said, boy, I'm sitting there steering, I'm talking to myself.
I bet.
Oh, I says, if I can keep this baby going, I says, he will not see the
Yeah,
end
that
of
was
the
on the
day.
white flag lap.
No, well, when I got him, it was.
Yeah.
Took me a while to catch him.
Right.
So were you running 1 and 2?
Oh, yeah, I was leading.
No,
No. When you did,
My-
when you launched him.
you were second. He'd gone by Robbie. 30 laps to go, Bodine punted him. Mike Rowe snuck through on the inside with the V6 car.
Yeah, he won.
And, yeah, and then Bodine went along, and then Robbie, and then Dick. So not
We
Dick from
finished
first to
third.
fourth.
We finished third.
Yeah.
I gassed her up, got back there.
Car coming out of turn 4, lost the right front. Bodine was under him because that guy's trying to get to the infield. And that pinched him down. Well, Dick swept right around the outside into second place. And he was going on, and Bodine right through the infield and got him. Then he ended up in the backstretch.
Big time. Have you ever had any words since then talked?
Yeah, no, I congratulated him. I was down in Daytona the next year, and he won the Saturday race there, the goodies.
Yeah.
I was in the goodies, and he lapped me. Matter of fact, I don't know, I finished 10th to 12th. But I laughed when I looked in the mirror. He was some slow going
Yeah,
by.
I
I
bet
said,
he
"You
was.
remember this guy, don't
Yeah.
you, boy?"
Speaking of Daytona, you went down there. Did you go with Louis Stewart? And go down
Louis
there?
helped me a lot. Yeah, Bob Bailey.
How many motors?
Well, in the big car, we lost a couple of motors. The little car, the V6, we never lost any.
So, were those Bailey motors?
Some was Bailey and some was Wagner.
Yeah.
In the big car, it was
They were
Childress.
Childress, so we
Yeah.
used motors from
So
Childress.
you ran decent. You ran about 199 there because the cars were really hauling back then, weren't they? Didn't you run?
I ran 197,
Okay.
but I lost her over the tunnel bump.
Yeah.
We got no practice. We had a lot of issues. We lost the motor.
He turned her sideways and turned
Yeah, I don't
4.
think people understand that hump. And I don't think they
I
understand
understood
this.
it after that.
Well, when we went, I mean, we did. I think I qualified 13th out of 77 cars. We ran 180, then a little over 180, then went out in the draft with Sam Ott and Jack and ran 190. And I don't think they realize how deceiving that is until you're in trouble.
Well, I had no time in the car, and Childress he went around and turned some bolts, loosened the car up for a time trial. It was a 1-lap time trial.
Loosen it up for Earnhardt.
He says, "You'll be all right. Those tires will carry him." Yeah. And I took off. It was a 1-lap deal.
Yeah.
I was going good down the back stretch. I got the green flag. I went through 1 and 2. I says, "Jesus." But boy, just the weight of my hands would turn that car.
Yeah.
I mean, she was alive. And I went down into turn 3, and I was a little too low. You know what I mean? It cut so easy.
Yeah.
Well, when I hit that bump, I'm looking in the infield, it's all green grass. I look out the right-hand window, and the flagman's over there. I said, "Ooh."
Happens fast, doesn't it?
Yeah. I never put a mark on the car.
Well, you went 197 something.
Yeah.
Complete the lap.
I had to let up. I didn't let all the way off, but I let up.
You didn't miss it by much, did you?
No, I think it was 200, wasn't it?
Yeah.
203 would get you in.
Yeah. But to going sideways and at that speed and that quick, we got down to 20 to go, and I was running 6 and the Venturas,
Yeah.
Pontiacs, and a side window blew out of it, and the air got in it.
Things changed then.
Anybody that doesn't think a butt's adjustable needs to try that on for a minute.
Pete,
And I'm sure you know it.
Peter, ask him if he's ever been to Sanair.
Which one? The little one or the old?
Yeah.
The
This
new
way-
one?
Brand new
This is
car.
looking like it might turn into a two-parter
Oh,
here.
Sandy's thing. I got rid of a car for Sandy. I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Brand new.
So listen, we haven't even touched you guys, and we're using our up.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to ask you, who would you consider your toughest competition during your career? Who? Because we've had other drivers say that Dick McCabe was one of their toughest competition. Who's it for
Robbie
you?
Crouch,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mike Rowe, Bobby and Beaver,
Oh yeah.
Joey was good competition.
Yeah. Do you feel like you could still drive today? Or would you?
He'd
have
like
an-
to.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
My body wouldn't take the pounding. I don't think these guys look like they ride hard, and
They did X.
my
Yeah, they did
my
X.
joints went like that.
I had a pizza shop. And he comes, about 10:30 in the morning. He says, I'm going to Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Wisconsin, yeah. He said, I got a ride down there. I said, well, okay. I was closing up at about 11:30 at night, and he comes in. He pulls his fire shirt up, pulls his pants down. He was raw meat.
What happened?
Oh, I got spun around. Guy lost a tire, and he tagged me. And I got spun around coming out of 4. Bill Bailey and Grover there,
Grover.
not Buster, his brother, the 58 Ford. I
Merle.
was
Yeah.
sitting right there, left hand side 2. That Ford's coming, the exhaust out through the hood, she's wide open. He never even cracked. I said, oh, this is gonna hurt. I says,
He showed me.
he hit me, and I'm gonna tell you, he hit hard. Because the cars were splitting. He was the 5th car, like the first 2 split, the next 2 split.
He was right
Dead
there.
Whose
Yeah.
car were you driving?
Mill Cove was a bait customer of mine. They bought a race car. They bought Buster Grover's old car and wanted me to drive it.
Was that Larry Oakes?
No,
No.
it was Austin Barter bought the car. He worked down in Mill Cove. They were customers of mine. That probably wasn't a very smart move, driving my customer's car. But
It set the body back on the frame about a foot.
I bet.
Oh.
57 Chev.
Well,
I cut her off. What the hell was it? The front. It was back by the front of the rear spring hanger or something, and the up with the firewall on that side. I banged my ankle wicked on the pipe.
I don't think people realize how fast cars are going, because you got the speed of the bank, you know, you're not
Yeah.
all that momentum when you're going through the corners there. When they hit
Would have
hard.
helped. He'd let up.
Yeah, that probably would have.
See, I had a deal with my drivers. When it's in the pit, it's my car. When it's out there, it's your car.
Yeah.
He's going around at Sanair, brand spanking new car, new motor, new everything. Harry Gant's running 3rd, Dick's running 4th, and he comes on. He says, "You know, I think I can go by Harry." "What do you think?" I says, "Your car." "Well, she's got a little vibration in it." I says, "Dick, you know the deal. It's your car. When it's out there, you make the decision."
About 4 laps to
He
go.
passed. He passed Harry, but then I looked and ooh. The one good thing that happened out of that whole deal, the car was total. My motorman tells me 2 or 3 weeks later that he has sent the crank to Boston to have it welded. He says, "I'll never weld a crank again."
Is that what the vibration was?
That's what the vibration was.
Listen, I know we're out of time, but before I forget, we didn't do these guys justice, but Sandy with Joey won the 1987 NASCAR North Busch Grand National Championship too. I don't want that to get by anybody here. I think that should be known. And Dick, your accomplishments, I always say this when I sit at the table, and this goes for you too, but I knew you did well, but when the historian puts all this on one sheet of paper in front of me, it's mind-boggling to me that the success some of the drivers around here have really had. And I mean, I knew you did well, but then you get into, you went to Beach Ridge in 100 lappers, you went to Unity in 100 lappers, you went to Wiscasset. You had so many different guys driving your cars. Davo, you, Jeff Stevens, McClure. I mean, Grace, that's an all-star.
Dave Davo's a super nice guy.
I mean, that's an all-star lineup, but I just didn't want the championship stuff to get away.
Yeah.
And I know you got questions you want to ask them here, winding
Well,
down.
yeah, we're winding down. Actually, we're well beyond. I appreciate the patience of the guys here. I always try to give the guys a chance. One final question around the table, just to thank anyone that you feel was instrumental in your long career. So, Sandy, I'll start with you.
I've had a lot of good drivers, but Jim McClure he's the one that's got me started winning.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good family man. His two boys, they took the car up to their house and worked on it up there. And I offered, when I was going to go with my modified down and race with the boys, well, I raced all right. I got a lesson, but no, I'd say he's family.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
he's family.
That's great. Dick,
When
how
they
about
got in
yourself?
the back of the
Yeah,
bake
sorry.
truck, when we hit him in the back of a bake truck to take him to the racetrack because he couldn't get in.
I've heard those kind of stories quite a bit. But Dick, going through
I
your
heard a
own
lot of
career,
people help.
yeah,
My nephew Mark, Ray Jansen,
I remember old Ray, good guy.
Oh,
smart guy, a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
had a lot of good crew members. Like I mentioned in the beginning, Dickie Seavey, he didn't have to help me.
Yeah.
He taught me how to weld. He didn't know anything about a race car, and I was a kid 14 years old.
That probably did a lot for you moving forward, just learning to weld when you could do your own stuff. Yeah, I bet.
You had to learn how to use a torch to weld, you know that.
That's for sure.
And, well, even down in Edwin Thompson's garage when I was a kid, if Dickie hadn't got home from the Navy Yard and I hadn't quite got everything done, I could sneak down to their garage and get a radiator bracket welded or do something. And
Yeah.
I just had a lot of people that helped me a lot.
I tell people when we thought we were struggling money-wise, we were actually wealthy in people. We just didn't realize it because we were struggling along trying to keep going. But so
Exactly.
many people, we were rich in people and friends, I think.
Yeah, it's just times you can't replace. Lee helped me a lot. When I started driving, he told me, he says, just drive what you can handle, Dick.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, with you, kind of worked around this chance meeting with Dick, but you've become quite a historian yourself.
Well, I guess I got a pretty fair memory. But no, I'm glad I went to the races. Seeing the races, you just can't do anything but like them. And I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, Bear's been with me forever.
That's where I met him.
Yeah.
Known him ever since. It's always through you, you know.
Yeah. Our first time at Unity, I went when I was a cop. The opening day, '72.
I seem to have a little memory fog on some of this
No,
stuff.
you were good.
Okay, that's nice to know.
Gardner was there, and Doug Ripley.
Is that the time that Ripley was going to kill Steve Levitt?
Well, I kind of got intervened in that because he wouldn't have, because Stevie Levitt had a tie rod about this long and he was headed. And thank God, I said, Stevie, go back to the truck. And he did. But in the meantime, one of Ripley's men, Gardner's father-in-law, they'd hit him, blood was coming out of his ear. And Bernie Gary, pretty rugged fella, I saw it happen, but I kind of didn't. He cleaned his clock, and here comes all the Ripley's gang, and of course they're redheaded and they're fired right up. And I said, first word out of any one of you, you're going to Belfast, and it ain't going to be pretty.
We ought to invite him over to Wiscasset.
Yeah.
The Ripleys are still there, so.
I know they are. Well, the ironic thing, Stevie Levitt told me, they got inducted into the Hall of Fame
They
at
were
the
in the
same
same
time.
class.
Yes, they
Oh
did.
my God.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Same night.
I brought him over to each other at that deal just to watch the laugh. And I think Bob Knowles was there that day, too.
Yeah,
Bob
Bob was throwing rocks out of the infield at Ripley.
Bob had the cops take Ripley out,
Yeah.
dug off out of the racetrack, yeah.
That is amazing. No, it's, I wish we could go on and
Yeah.
on. Like I said, this could have easily been a two-parter. But Pete, I wanted to. I missed the last time we were together. You wanted to mention, and I promise this is it for the guys in the control room. But you got a big thing happening at
Thank you,
Unity.
guys. Stephanie Burgess and I, along with Holly and Joey Doyon, have planned a 75th anniversary reunion at Unity Raceway. We've got the Maine Mobile Hall of Fame Museum coming. I've got 25 cars from the past, all the way from Keith Fuller's old V1 to Ray Penfold's last dirt car, Del Stinson's car. I mean, I got 25 really cool cars coming. I've already got over 50 drivers committed to come. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff going on. So it's September 23rd, 10 to 2. Hopefully you can make it.
Yeah, and just go to our website, mainvintagerace.org,
Do you
for all
remember
the
when-
details on it.
Me and Joey raced at Unity.
Yeah.
You led it.
Got taken out. Mike Rowe, I was lapping Rowe and somebody else. We led every lap and kind of got tangled up in it.
But
I'll leave it there.
But you know that we got screwed in that race. Do you know that?
No. No, go ahead.
It's not. I mean, this ain't going out, right?
Well, I don't know.
oh
Depends
yeah,
how much
the,
cuss.
the record button is still on.
I just looked at that screen. I didn't realize that's where we were.
Well,
Go ahead.
somebody sent me a film. I went over and what's his name was the NASCAR guy there.
Ricky Craven?
Jeff Cook, Jerry
Oh,
Cook
sorry.
at the time.
Yeah, Cook. He and I were supposed to be friends, as if you can be friends with a NASCAR official. And he says, Sandy, she told me she dropped the pencil, and that's all taken care of. I says, I'm going to tell you something. So I got the film and I called NASCAR. They said, Sandy, it's over. It's over. It showed Nation in the pit. They won the race.
Yeah, that's another race I led that Ralph won.
Well, you were you were gonzo.
Yeah, we sat on the pole and led every lap. I think it was 75. I mean, Rowe didn't do anything wrong. We were coming up behind him and somebody else, and they were going at it, trying not to get lapped. I probably should have been more patient, but Ralph wasn't too far behind me, so I don't know which.
You know what? Who was going to be in front of me or behind me?
Yeah.
Well,
that was like flipping a coin there.
With that, I guess we'll make that the final word. Again, we could probably go on and on. I appreciate you guys giving up your time today. We hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the Vintage Racers Roundtable. I want to thank again Elevation Station and Oxford Auto Salvage, and also the folks here at Lincoln County TV for being such great hosts. You can help support this program and also support our mission to preserve and present the history of racing in the state of Maine by going to our website, mainvintagerace.org. That's where you can find out how you can become a member, how you can donate, and how you can support this program. So on behalf of my friend here, Pete Silva, my co-host, and all the folks here, thank you very much. Thank you to Sandy McKinnon, Dick McCabe, and Dave Staples today
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us today on the Vintage Racers Roundtable. We'll see you next time.